Da-da-da-dum. All right, let's see. Adjust our guitar levels very carefully to avoid feedback, as is this is necessary with the acoustic guitar. A little different setup than we've normally used. Hey Grim, how are you? Trying a little different rig than we've normally used for electric acoustic before. Jump on Facebook real quick. Taking forever. Yeah, R.I.P. Diego Maradona. De mano de Dios. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna. I get the feeling you're gonna. You guys are gonna be talking about that for at least a month, at least. I mean, the lines. I saw like the lines to go view him, to go view his body, and it was insane. Absolutely crazy. Not really mellow. You can't have not mellow things on Mellow Monday. We got to chill out. Oh, dude, it's about Fernet. Post that in the Discord. Wish I had some right now. I've been out for like, I don't know, 3 months maybe. And I am very sad about it. All right, let me go. I'm going to turn the amp on. Cut the bass a little bit. All right, so let's start bringing the mic on the amp up a little. So my concern, I'm using an amp that's at a slightly different angle, and normally when we do the electric acoustic, we have it plugged into a DI. Tonight, I'm miking the amp because I'm using a different amp. And I want to see how well that works, but we might, of course, potentially run into a feedback issue. So you guys have to let me know if you hear anything crazy on your end. So I'm just slowly bringing the mic up. The bass response is really big in the room. Yeah, so I'm gonna go cut some bass at the amp. All right, that tightened it up in the room quite a bit. so previously we were using a very, very, very neutral, super clean kind of amplifier for the DI. Well, now I'm using a pretty vintage style tube amp. I wanted to see if it would kind of warm our sound up a bit. And maybe give us a little more space to the sound. And of course, you're probably getting a little from this mic too. From the vocal mic. It should be. It's a whole lot warmer than through the other amp, because the other amp is basically dead flat, completely neutral. This amp has a lot more warmth and color, for better or for worse. Let's see. A little bit of high end. Yeah, it's definitely a much sort of richer, smoother sound versus, you know, super clean and clear. No tweeters as well. That's another thing, you know, is that in the room, for me at least, the cab that I was running through had tweeters, and this is just a single 12. Yeah, we don't get that really extreme crispy, you know, like 20K kind of like fingernail sound. I think we could probably, it looks like on the meters, we can probably bring the guitar up a little. Let's see. Got the vocal mic a little farther away too. Let me bring it up some too. I felt watching the last VOD back, I felt that until we got into the fuzz pedals at the end, that everything was a little quieter than I wanted it to be. So let's see. Hello, 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 hello. There we go. That's better. Ooh, man, we can really boost the highs of that. Don't know that I want to. Signal from the B string transducer seems to be a lot quieter than the strings around it. Wonder if it's a weird resonance thing, or if there's something up with the actual string or transducer itself. What a fun guitar to play. it just kind of has these little things in it that it makes you want to play. Oh yeah, should update the guitar command. This is a 2012 Kirk Sand Mahogany. Got our volume pedal set up too, so I can easily mute everything. So what I kind of had planned was doing like a little lesson on a Leonard Cohen song. I don't think we've done it before. You'll have to let me know if we've played it before. I don't think we have. But then, man, we need some Mellow Monday requests. We don't have many in that channel at all yet. Yeah, right now I just have my little volume pedal in between the guitar and amp. So rather than scratchy this slider that's a little bit dirty every single time I want to turn it down, I can just volume pedal up and down and have it right here underneath the right here under the table. And it is active, so it does have a buffer. It does have a little buffer in the circuit, but you know, that's not a huge deal when we have a battery-powered preamp. That buffer is not really going to change a whole lot. And it's a fairly neutral sounding one in the first place. Going to be, I guess, buying a camera tonight too, because no Cyber Monday deals worth talking about either. So just going to have to go ahead and bite the bullet and essentially pay full price for a camera. Really disappointing Black Friday / Cyber Monday. The only good sales were either on super cheap cameras or super duper expensive cameras. But like the A7 II was like $600 off. But it's apparently not really very good for streaming video. You know, great for shooting stills, but well, the problem with Canons is that Canons require you to use Canon software as an intermediary to be able to stream with them. They apparently can't stream by default. You know, you have to download some Canon software suite, and I would really prefer not to have another software suite running in between. You know, and then the Sony, the A6400 that I was looking at with the kit lens comes out to about $1,000, and there are some packages that'll have like a tripod, stuff like that with them for more or less the same price. So that's probably what I'll go with, because I'll need a camera. I'll need to get like the Camlink, the Elgato Camlink, or something that does the same thing anyway, if not that. The kit lens should be fine for what we're doing. I don't think we need fancy lenses for streaming. But then obviously I've got a mic set up, so I don't really need a plug-in mic. And the A6400 does have absolutely amazing autofocus, which I think will be really nice. There was a deal that was like $800 off some Sony camera that was still like $3,500 after $800 off, but that's way out of our price range and overkill, really. And it's gotten to where the used cameras cost basically as much as the new cameras, so I might as well just buy a new one and get a warranty. and then drop it the first day. But no deals on the webcams either. That was another thing that really was really frustrating. Is I was going to buy a nice webcam to act as our pedal cam / second cam. The only webcams that were on sale were the dirt cheap ones, which are as bad as the webcam that's in the computer, basically. But we can hold off on that a little bit. Get that main camera. Well, so I'd like to have long run. I'd like to have 2 extra cameras, but short term, I want one that if we're doing pedals, we can fix it on the pedals and just leave it there. But if we're not doing pedals, we can do one that'll do hand close-ups. And so for hand close-ups, we need something that can run at least a pretty good frame rate, if not extreme resolution necessarily. But something that can run at 60 FPS would really be ideal, so we don't get choppy hands. Hey Smurfco, what's up? How are you? Welcome back to the stream. That emoji is far too small for me to see. I can't tell what it is. Taco Bell, why would you do that to yourself? Why would you subject yourself to that nerve-shattering hell ride? Because you know what's going to happen. Well, I guess you're alive. You may not want to be. But you are experiencing sensations. Torment is a sensation, I suppose. Yeah, I listened to the whole new album when it came out. I kind of feel like he's sort of running out of steam. You know, there are some songs which, I mean, they have wonderful production value and stuff like that, and he still has moments where he comes up with some interesting lines, but he's gotten to where like his cadence and his rhyme scheme is really predictable. Like I can kind of hear him say a line and then guess what's going to come next. And you know, I mean, I know he's like freaking ancient, but still, it's sort of disappointing. It's sort of like, man, I think maybe you should have retired like 2 albums ago at least, because he was getting that way at least since modern times. But there are still strong tracks. This newest album, to me, not really that strong in general. Crap, where was I at in the song? Yeah, he's kind of on the nose, you know. It's like, we know you're talking about Kennedy. We know what happened. Maybe be a little more subtle, little more inventive about it. But then again, you know, like my dad and a lot of the people I know from that generation heard that and were like, "Oh, I was there. I remember when it happened." It is, you know, a really meaningful thing to them, even as kind of on the nose as it was. But to me, it's lacking the subtlety and invention of his younger days. Yeah, like really literal. Yeah, the title itself is kind of cliche too. I mean, case in point, it's almost summarizes my complaint about the album broadly. Well, if you die from explosive excretions and or dehydration from that Taco Bell, then it will also be murder most foul. Wait, when you went to Taco Bell, did you have the beef or the chicken? Because it could also have been dinner most foul. Yeah, I listened to that a couple weeks ago, and I'm really impressed with it so far. Need to kind of give it time to need to sort of give it time to soak in, but it feels really 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 strong to me. Girl, I'm just a beefster for your love. What? This isn't the T-Rex stream. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Like you hear echoes of their best work in it, I think. And less kind of tired and a little bit bankrupt as some of the previous stuff. What did you miss? Mostly just Smurfco talking about how he's suffering from Taco Bell, which is a familiar experience to anyone who's eaten at a Taco Bell. Hopefully, you don't have those in Argentina. Praise the heavens every moment. Of course, there's one in Chile. Thanks, Pinochet. Come on, E-string. These strings are going to have to be changed. This E-string is not wanting to stay in tune. Hey, Ride, how are you? So all things considered, it sounds like you had a pretty positive Taco Bell experience. They perform the stomach pumping in the kitchen, though, which should make you a little bit suspicious. I mean, all kidding aside, it wasn't really that long ago. What, maybe 12 years ago or something that Taco Bell got busted for essentially serving dog food grade beef in their tacos. Yeah, they collect. This stream is getting a bit gnarly, but they strain the contents of your stomach and collect your stomach acid. Ever wonder what the lime juice is at Taco Bell? Yeah, so you got the Taco Bell Blues. Jesus Christ. You got the Taco Bell Blues, which sounds like a Screamin' Jay Hawkins song. Then we have the Ballad of Taco Bell. The Chimes of Freedom, speaking of Bob Dylan. There's a revolting pun, if a little obscure. So what I actually had planned, I think I mentioned earlier, was to do just a little walkthrough of Suzanne, the first album, the first song on the first Leonard Cohen album, because I don't recall us doing an actual lesson for it before, and I think it'd be a fun one to do. It's got some neat little tricks up its sleeve, but a very pretty little fingerstyle melody. That's what I was playing a moment ago. And metrical modulation too, which is pretty unusual in something that would broadly fall under the pop music category. Chat has turned entirely into Taco Bell related song names. Am I okay with this? Oh, I've already had dinner. I made chicken noodle soup and a grilled ham and cheese sandwich. The TV was still on. I would love some tacos though. We have a couple. We have a tacos Jalisco's here in town, which was a truck actually, which is like traditional Jalisco style tacos, which are really good. And then we have a lady from El Salvador who has a truck who makes pupusas. But then she also has tacos sometimes, and her tacos when she makes them are absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, the pupusa truck. She's still around. She'd opened up, like rented out this empty space to try to open up a restaurant, and then like 2 months later the whole COVID thing happened. So she wound up having to give it up. But she's still there in her truck. They're freaking good. The pupusas are amazing too. She has this cortito that she makes with it too, which is, oh, just choice. Absolutely choice. It's actually, I think I might like it better than the pupusas. Like, I kind of don't even want the pupusas if I don't have the cortito to go on it. That's a fun little voice leading trick that you hear a lot in jazz and bossa nova in particular. When we get to the 6th chord, the relative minor, towards, like, say, the last run through of a chorus or a head or something, we'll tend to hear this ba 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 type thing going on. And it's really easy to do depending on the fingerings that you use for the chords. So in this case, I have this this F sharp minor 7, right, and then I simply move ring finger and middle finger down a string. And now I have, well, really like an F13 if you bar the pinky down, which is a tritone substitution for this B7, which acts as a 5 for an E minor 7. Then the same thing here, tritone substitution, this E flat 7, takes us down into the 4 chord. Ba 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 ba. Then we can go to the 1 or the, make our way using more or less the same technique all the way down to the 1 from the 4 as well. So down to the 3, tritone substitution for the 6, 2, tritone substitution for the 5, down to the 1. So you can get this complete chromatic voice leading in the bass all the way from the 6, ba 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 ba, all the way down to the 1. Really, really pretty. Especially if we start to add in drop 2 voicings, which are basically inversions of those chords where we put the 5th in the bass instead of the root note. So then instead of, we wind up with, oh, which one? I mean, Charlie Christian, along with the likes of Eddie Lang and Django Reinhardt, are pretty much the, the language, so to speak, of jazz guitar. Dude, we did a whole stream on Honeysuckle Rose a few months ago. I might even have the video of it up on YouTube if you ever want to watch it. I can send you the link on Facebook. Ba-da-da-doom, ba-da. They see you out with me. I don't mind it though, goodness no. Honeysuckle yeah, great tune. Really beautiful melody and pretty straightforward to sort of solo over too, you know, because our changes kind of wrap themselves up or sort of wind themselves down to 5 2 5 2 5 2 2 2 5 5 5 1 1 in the first inversion, 4 2 in the first inversion, 1 6 2 5. So you get these really fundamental, really elemental kind of jazz changes. You know, and it's very easy to kind of connect the dots when you're trying to learn how to play over changes with a set of changes like that. Because you don't have to worry about any crazy harmonizations. There's nothing really out. There's no really sour or weird chords. And you can play it as slowly as you want, and it still sounds really pretty. You know, other melodies, a lot of bebop melodies and stuff from a little bit later don't really work that way. If you try to play them slowly, they just kind of fall apart. But yeah, I mean, really essential. We did that was Fats Waller, right? That wrote that. But you can kind of see very clearly too outlines of solo ideas, especially if you're kind of working with arpeggios. You know. Yeah, absolutely. That's the right song for the Carcosa. Just completely blown out stoner metal, doom metal versions of classic jazz standards. Oh, you're actually like literally learning Charlie Christian's solo on it? Oh, yeah. I remember him from Harmony Central, way back. And he's got his own forum too, right? I think that's what he did. Started his own forum when Harmony Central kind of went to crap. Yeah, note for note. I mean, learning note for note is a good thing to do in a lot of cases to start kind of internalizing little bits of language, you know. To start going like, wait a minute, your fingers can do this in this context. Yeah, exactly, to get some phrases under your fingers. And also help in you know, really with working on timing too, sort of getting something to feel right. Because when you're playing along note for note, you sort of hear like, wait a minute, I'm a little too on top of the beat, or I'm a little too forceful here, I'm a little this, that, or the other. You know. Well, when you're kind of working on improvising and doing your own thing, sometimes you can miss out on little nuances like that. So there are some songs where I tend to, like with students, where we'll specifically learn a given solo as close to note for note as we can, while other songs, the solos don't really showcase a particular technique or concept or anything that much, and I'll say kind of just improvise. Here's a scale you can work with, come up with something to go with it. Sort of like we talked about Cult of Personality last week a couple times. The solo in Cult of Personality is not really a particularly coherent sort of solo. And basically, as long as you just go to town in a particular couple scales, it's going to work and it's going to sound functionally identical. Wow, Electric Wookie. Bringing up those old names. I still see Help I'm a Rock on the gear page occasionally. All right, so let's get started. Let's do the little fingerstyle lesson on the Leonard Cohen tune, and then we'll do some requests if you guys have particular requests or topics you want to discuss or ask questions about. This one's relatively easy as far as chords go, as long as you can play bar chords. If you can't play bar chords, you're kind of boned, but you should be practicing them anyway. All right. So as opposed to like when we did the pre-war blues type lesson, when we were talking about these different sort of finger picking patterns where we're largely using, like, say, dead thumbing, and like thumb and index finger, or the alternating thumb, right, and palm muting down here. When we're playing stuff that uses or falls under the finger style label as opposed to finger picking, and I know it's a subtle distinction, but it does have meaning. We tend to keep our hand floating, and And we really want to sort of let it hang and just let it hang loose and hang down. We don't want to like bend it down forcefully, but we don't want it straight this way. You just let the weight of the hand cause the hand to hang down over the strings. Then our thumb, which we'll call the pulgar, or P for short, will play the 3 bass strings in most situations. And it's going to stay outside of the hand, like that. Then index, or I, indicio, will play the G string. Medio, middle, will play the B string. And then anular, A, will play or the E string down here. So we'll get, if we're holding an E chord down, let me update the title too. Let's put fingerstyle lesson Suzanne by Leonard Cohen. Let me make sure he spelled it that particular way. Just one Z. Yeah, just one Z. All right. And so you can see that the hand barely moves when we're doing this. The thumb stays outside of the hand. It doesn't come back here behind it. If our thumb starts to come back behind our fingers, it tends to turn our hand this way, and it gives us poor contact with the treble strings. We keep our thumb out, helps our hand just sort of hang down loosely, and we get this fairly flat, let me tilt the camera this way a little bit too, fairly flat contact then with our fingertips on the treble strings this way. And so this song's going to start off with this E chord. It starts off with this kind of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3. I'm starting off with thumb and then middle finger, or you could drop ring finger in depending on what you're comfortable with, to the B string for our very first beat. Right, and then our index or thumb, depending on what you're comfortable with again, it's going to drop down to the D string, then G string, so count slowly. That's weird. But thumb and ring, or thumb and middle, index, middle, index, then thumb again, E string. Then we're going to drop the thumb down to the A. We're going to hit the A string. We're going to hit thumb and middle finger together on the G. Then index is going to come in, grab the D string. Then pinky is going to hold down the suspended 4. This is going to be the 2nd fret on the G string. We're still holding down the E shape, but we're adding the pinky down. It's been covered a lot. There's a ton of good covers of it. You know, this album came out in 67 maybe? Something like that. Like mid to late 60s. And really influential. You know, probably his most influential album, at least until you get to, what's the one with Hallelujah on it? Which itself at the time nobody liked. Nobody paid any attention to that until the Jeff Buckley cover became a big thing. So in this case, I'm playing thumb and ring, index, middle, index, thumb, index, then index and thumb. Then I'm putting my pinky down, 2nd fret. And that same pinch, thumb and middle, index, then pinky off. Same little sort of pinching motion. Then it starts over. And it creates this almost kind of Alberti bass type effect, this. But with a little bit less alternation in the thumb. The alternation is mostly occurring between middle and index now. And we start to hear these kind of 3 different parts emerge, all in this one little chord shape, all coming from the way our right hand is playing. We have this melody that's going. The open B string, then 1, 2, 1, back to that open again. Then we have a little harmony part that's basically just. Right, then we have a bass part. And when we start to put that all together, variations as the song goes on for the bass in particular. The treble strings, the melody kind of keeps that same little theme regardless of what chord's being played. As the chords change. But sometimes the bass notes will be left to ring out. Other times they'll be plucked along with each little melody pluck. So you have some leeway there, but as long as you can sort of mark the beat and mark the place where the measure recycles. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 6, and that's right. The first one we start off we're in 6, then we change to 4, which is what's messing with my head. 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2. When the vocals start to come in, though, we get a metric modulation, which is really unusual. I mentioned that earlier. It's kind of a strange thing to hear in this particular type of song. We get Suzanne takes you down to a place by the river. And we wind up with this extra at the very end of all of it. Thumb, index, middle, index. Which changes our time from 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and to 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1 and 2, which is essentially just 4. 4, 4. 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it's kind of interesting. It maintains that throughout all of the versed chords, and the verse chords basically keep that same pattern going regardless of what they are. So we start off with E. Then we have F sharp minor. Same sort of pattern. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 back to E. Then G sharp minor, A. Now, there's a cool little thing we can do with the melody to mirror the vocal melody when we get to the A chord there. Because then she feeds you tea and oranges that come all the way from China. When we do our little suspension, we can kind of walk the scale down. So D, C sharp, B, A, G sharp, and that puts us back into our 1 chord, our E chord. So and then we modulate back to the 3 or the 6 feel, depending on how you want to count it, for the sort of interregnum or little bridges between the verses. It's really, really, really interesting, and it throws your head for a little bit of a loop when you first sit down and try to count it, because you're going like, there's something weird happening here. It all sounds similar, but the way the accents lay out when you break down the beat, you go like, oh, wait a minute, now suddenly our 1 is in a weird place because we've added essentially a beat to each measure that we're playing. And our verse comes in. Drop back down into those measures of 6 there, how it suddenly feels like it's recycling faster. When we shift from that intro in 6 to the verse in 4, it feels like it's being elongated, like there's suddenly this extra hit at the end of each beat. Then when we drop back and drop that beat again, suddenly it feels like the whole thing is looping back over a bit more quickly. It's a really, really, really interesting effect. I'm not sure, compositionally how consciously he did it, if he just, liked the feel of it or whatever, or if it's something he sat down and thought about, like, hey, I want there to be a marked difference between the sort of intro / bridges and the verses. Or if he came up, with the intro part first, but then when he started writing lyrics for it, he's like, ah, crap, I need more room to fit stuff in. Alec, you do realize that there is a point option to essentially buy a pedal, so to speak. And you should surely have more than enough points to buy it many times over. I don't own a Metal Zone, but I do own quite a number of metal pedals. You know, I have the piece of the Yawit. I have the Union Jack. What else do I have? I have the Session Man, which has a rat in it. Oh, it's going to sound, no matter what you run this through, if you run a transducer equipped, you know, acoustic guitar through a distortion pedal, it's going to sound interesting. Won't be very mellow, though. I find to me like the most difficult thing with this song is just simply not sort of thinking. Again, we've talked about this before. If you think too hard about it when you try to play it, then suddenly little mistakes start to kind of work their way in. But you sort of start to hear and sort of feel where those accents come. It becomes a lot more natural, a lot more easy to sort of play. But when you're first learning it, you kind of got to stop and think and count. Da 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 versus da 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 in the verses. Why did it hide that? Apparently the phrase Russian fakin' is something that AutoMod doesn't like. Another thing I find is songs where you have to hold a particular chord for a very long period of time. You start to find like, okay, your wrist starts getting a little more tense than you want it to. You got to avoid the death grip. I knew somebody wouldn't be able to resist a death grips comment. If Keep Watch weren't being a bum and we're here, then he would have just posted, "It goes, it goes, it goes, it goes, it goes." Hey Alec, did you watch the video that I sent you guys that Keep Watch was too chicken to watch? It's not football, it's in England. It's football, mate. Nah, that's more Australian. I sent him a video of the Raul Jimenez and David Luiz smacking heads. It was not pretty. Fortunately, it looks like he's going to be okay, but who knows if he'll be able to play again. Because apparently it fractured his skull. I guess Ovasad is just totally burned out because of Maradona. It's a shame though, because I was thinking about turning this into a soccer stream, right? Complaining about VAR because it screwed my team today. Play the actual guitar part for that this week. Oh yeah, I've been a fan of a particular team since about 2005 or so. It was about when I started to get into it because you couldn't watch it here. You know, it wasn't really on anywhere here, with the exception of the occasional MLS match until 2003, 2004. Unless you wanted to, pay for an international channel of some kind, but around that time, Fox Soccer Channel kind of popped up all of a sudden, was showing Premier League matches and Apertura, Clausura and Apertura matches from Argentina and Serie A, and occasionally a couple other leagues like A-League from Australia. So I started to get into it then because I could actually watch it and figure out what it was about. But you guys, Alec may know, but I bet you guys can't guess what team I support. Yeah, we did Roundabout. Were you here? Were you here Friday, Ofasad? We did Roundabout on bass, and so I was transposing the intro, the guitar intro, onto bass. Nope, not a Manchester team. Arsenal? Lord, no. In fact, one of our players, one of our newest players, came from Arsenal, and he's an Argentinian. That's pretty close. There's a team with a Hawaiian shirt. No, the only team. What's the only team with an orange shirt would be Wolverhampton. Well, not the only team, but the only team in England anyway with an orange shirt in the top division would be Wolverhampton Wanderers. And and the doggies can sit on it. Yep, Smurfco knows. Villa. Been a Villa fan for like 15 years now, something like that. For better or for worse. Have her moments. Yep. Emi Martinez, our goalkeeper, came from Arsenal. Right now, he appears to be Argentina's second choice, though having seen Argentina's first choice playing recently, it seems like he probably, should be first choice. Man, MLS, I enjoy watching Atlanta, or well, did enjoy watching Atlanta, but especially since lockdown, MLS has just been awful, like extra awful. Like the players have no fitness whatsoever. You remember that? You didn't just look it up on my Facebook page or something? Yeah, MLS had been doing really well, like getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and the quality of play had been getting better. There's kind of a shift away from hiring retirees, old washed up stars, to trying to find like younger players from South America, Central America, stuff like that. But and then bringing them in and then selling them basically to European clubs. Like Atlanta United here where I live, they bought Joseph Martinez from Venezuela, Miguel Almiron he's Paraguayan I think, right? Sold him to Newcastle. Piti Martinez bought him from Argentina, and he did not do well here at all. He just didn't seem to be into it, and I think we sold him to a club in Saudi Arabia or something. But that's become kind of the new model for the most part, and so the quality has been getting better. But after the lockdown, I don't know. It just seems, I guess nobody cares anymore or something. And so watching it since lockdown has been awful. It's really disappointing. The next one is in Qatar, and then after that we should have one in the U.S. So 2022 will be in Qatar, and then 2026 should be the U.S. I think it's probably more to do, not so much the audience, though. I mean, that could affect energy levels to an extent. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that MLS facilities don't really have like elite training facilities and staffs. If you go to Spain or Italy, to the top divisions in Spain and Italy and England and Germany and stuff like that, like they have people for every player who are helping maintain their fitness, and they're monitoring their fitness really, really closely. Throughout the entire lockdown, they still had them either coming in and training or training in their home gyms and remotely monitoring their performance and all that kind of stuff. The MLS not really doing that. Or at least if it's doing it on a much lesser scale. Because a lot of MLS clubs are, frankly, really crappy behind the scenes in terms of like their training facilities and stuff. But I mean, it has been becoming a more significant sport here, like starting to really move up in terms of viewership and marketability. Well, yeah, I think the Premier League, the English Premier League, is second worldwide behind the NFL in terms of like viewership and revenue. And the NFL is, been dropping. To me, I've never found gridiron football or American football terribly compelling, largely just because of all the interruptions, all the ad breaks and standing around and nonsense. It's one of the things I was really worried about, the drinks breaks that they introduced over the summer in most of the European leagues, because it seemed like to be a perfect avenue for introducing ads into the middle of soccer games. Yeah, it's so interrupt. Like you can't really watch a game with any kind of flow. I think there was a study that I think Harvard did about American football, and they said in the average NFL game, there's something like 13 minutes of actual play. All of the rest of it is standing around or commercials. And as interesting as the tactical side of the sport can be, and the athletic component of the sport, I just don't find it interesting. There's no fluidity, compared to soccer or compared to rugby or even AFL, Australian football. The games kind of flow. The games are played, and have your commercials at halftime. All right, let's check out what you got in the Discord here. Oh, Moby Tune, that's cool. I can never thank Moby enough. I can never thank Moby enough for introducing me as I don't know, maybe 13-year-old to Mission of Burma. If he did anything, if Moby ever did anything for me, it was that. Yeah, the best part of the NFL is the same reason people watch NASCAR. Just want to see somebody die. So to see somebody forget their mama. Yeah, Moby's the first radio single I think that Moby ever released in the U.S., at least on like U.S. rock radio, was "That's When I Reach for My Revolver." And this was before he had the really big albums and the really big hits. Like what was it, Southside or. can't I hear this? C, G. All right, let's go back to the beginning. All right, so we have an E minor. Yeah, Natural Blues was a reasonably successful one here. But the one, the sort of the I guess crossover hit that he did with Gwen Stefani was far and away the biggest one here. Here we are now going to the south side. So, don't. If you listen to his earlier stuff, there's some pretty interesting stuff squirreled away in his earlier music. Before he became kind of poppy, or more poppy anyway. So when we get to the C, we're changing from E minor, do, da, 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 da. Oh yes, update our title. If I can type. All right, so we have an E minor. All right, so it's kind of alternating. We have this sort of pattern. It's almost like a banjo roll, where we have thumb, middle, index, thumb. And it's sort of switching the string groupings that it's playing on between E, D, A, and then E, G, D. So you get. Change to a C, we get a similar sort of thing where we have thumb, then B string, G string, then thumb, G string, D string. Then G. Right, and so with the G, we're starting off with a G that has an open B in it. Then when we hit the open B, we hammer on to the 3rd fret. So we hammer on into this form of G. Then back into the E minor. C, G and 2 and 3 and 4, and D and 2 and 3 and. All right. So how many measures of E minor do we have? 2, 1, 2, 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4. It's basically like, depending on, again, how you want to count it, we have 4 measures of the E minor, 2 measures of the C, then 2 measures of the G, then back into the E minor. Then it sounds like after that we're going to go into a D minor. No, A minor. Then D major. Alright, so A minor, E minor, then D major. When we do the D major, we start off with a little grouping D string, B string, G string, and then we alternate that with the high E string. So then an F. Do, do. Okay, so this little bridge section, A minor, E minor, D, A minor, E minor, D, A minor, E minor. Then sounds like we're going to land in an F. Let's see if we can work out the exact voicing of the F. Alright, so this F voicing, we're playing E string, then G string, E string, or D string, A string. So alright, then our other layers and other instruments start to come in. Back to C, G, E minor, C, G, A minor, E minor, D. Nope, stay on the E minor and extra measure. Then our D. Alright, now it's shifting to a strumming pattern. Let's get a little bit thinner pick. That pick's going to be too aggressive for this. Hey, Zompol, how are you? So we get to the D this time, once the other instrumentation starts to come in. Then we We're actually shifting to straight up strumming. Da 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 dum. Ba da 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 da. So. And so when it gets to the E minor, it starts to shift. It sort of splits up the strum from the lower strings of the E minor to the higher strings. So it gives us this kind of separation. Right, it makes those, when we hit those high strings, it makes them really kind of pop by separating them like that versus just strumming everything at once. Right, that kind of flattens out the dynamic quite a bit. Something just fell upstairs. Man, that was startling. No, I'm in the basement, not the attic. I mean, we could probably do that tonight, depending on how late you can stay up. Because right now we don't have any other requests after this one. D again. And so when he's playing the D, he's also playing these little variations with the suspensions, right? So putting your pinky down in the 3rd fret on the E string. It gives it like a little bit of animation, a little bit of movement, compared to just playing regular old D. These strings are tripping. The same with the A minor, this sort of A suspended 2 to A minor, taking the index finger on and off. Back to the E minor. And so at this point, the piano in the background has kind of picked up the fingerstyle guitar effect. You know, this sort of these sort of broken up arpeggios. The piano has replaced essentially the fingerstyle guitar. Now, for that animation, the guitar is shifted to the strummed feel. There's our F. Then there's our E minor again. F again. E minor again. D. A minor. So we're back, sounds like to this little bridge. E minor again. But the strings come in on top and they kind of make it a little more grand feeling. see what else it does. So still just kind of the same thing. All right, so it's that same sequence again, the D, A minor, E minor, D, A minor, E minor. We get to the last E minor. We start to play essentially similar to the intro pattern, but we start to move down the strings with the higher when we drop down. So instead of just dropping down to the G, we drop down to the G, then we drop down to the B, then we drop down to the E. So we get... as it starts to fade out. So actually pretty easy, all things considered, as long as you can kind of get this sort of three feel going with the right hand. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. All right. Do you want to do that Radiohead song? We can check it out. If you don't have to go to bed. We can also change guitars at any point. We don't have to play this guitar. We can play electric guitar or steel string guitar. Is it in a regular? Is that tune in a normal intonation? So I know Radiohead sometimes does things in outside of A440. Pineapple Thief. Why does that sound? That sounds super familiar. Let's see. Let's go to the old YouTubes. Gosh, Firefox is being slow right now. Yeah, the name sounds incredibly familiar, but I can't place it. Last of the T. All right, let's see. Change account to the Aristic Guitar official YouTube channel. All right, let's see. Good. If you want to share some stuff, drop some stuff in the Discord. We have a whole channel for music recommendations. Alright, let's see. Let's watch one without the music videos. It'll be less distracting. Alright, so we're in B minor to start off with. Yeah, you recommend the Bird Index? Yes, everyone go out right now and buy the Bird Index. Buy their entire catalog. Create bots to stream their entire catalog infinitely on Spotify. So one guitar is definitely down in D. Don't know if we're just in drop D or if we're in D standard or something, but we can really hear that really low boom. Boom, boom, boom. We're kind of implying the 5 chord there. Close, not quite. Not quite. So you get that kind of bouncy rhythm too. So what you want to start listening for is you listen for the notes that are the intervallic movements that are the smallest. So in this case, that high note is staying the same. Ba, ba, or moving down a half step. I mean, ba, da, 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 da. From the first chord to the second chord. Then it sounds like our bass note's coming down a half step. Right, then we drop down to this low, low, low bass note, this low D. Right. All right, then let's listen to where the treble note goes. All right, so the treble note stays the same at first, then comes off. All right, so then we got to figure out the in-between note, the little harmony note, because so far there are only basically 3 notes per chord. So it sounds like we have this essentially this sort of D major 7 sound where we have this A up against it here. So all right, let's get the timing. Play. Then it sounds like we're going to go up to a G. Boom, boom, boom. So it's kind of like G with G up against an A, so we have G, A, B. Then it's going to start ascending. And this might be in D standard because that fingering is getting a little bit cumbersome. It's not quite dissonant enough. Oh, so we have a G major, little G major 7 there. We can hear the major 7th ring out against the open G in that too. Well, hold on. Let's go to D standard. So if we go to D standard, that moves that B minor shape up to like a C sharp minor, then a C minor shape. Then our E major 7 becomes this sort of shape. Then our G major 7, or A major 7. How do we want to figure that? Alright, so then something starts to go up. The bass note moves back and forth between the third, the major third, and the 4. Boom, 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 boom. Bum, ba-dum. Boom, bum, ba, ba, dum. Boom, bum, boom, bum, do, da, dum. Now that finger's going to be, they're probably not playing that, and that's tuning then, because that fingering is going to be too rough for most people. So that's probably is back in drop D then, because that definitely sounds like an open string ringing out. That a couple different ways. Do ba 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 da dum. Boom, 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 boom. So bass-wise, we have this boom, this G, where we have the F sharp boom, ringing up against the G. Then we're dropping down, ba da dum, ba. Dropping down to boom, this F sharp, boom, 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 boom. Then our treble notes are going ba do ba 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 ba. It sounds like we have C sharp up to D in the treble. Hold on a second. For a double drop D, So we go into double drop D, then we can have that open D ringing out up against that C sharp really easily, and that gives us that little bit of dissonance there. Makes the fingering easier too. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 bum. So don't. Yeah, that's getting pretty close. Getting pretty close. Let's back it way back up. This has got a lot of seconds in it. Like, it's got a lot of these really, really close intervals, which can be kind of hard to pick out. Because your brain, when you hear something like a minor second, like this, or your brain goes like, wait a minute, what's the root here? Which note am I listening to? What am I trying to hear? You know, where am I trying to go? And it makes it really, really ambiguous. It makes it kind of hard to pick out. Let's update our title. Hopefully Tom York doesn't come shut the stream down. Right now, our bass, we have bum, 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 bum. So I'm kind of picking what I'm doing is I'm trying to hear each little voice in the voice leading. You know, we have one voice that's going. Right, and then the other voice that's our bass, our lower notes. But the bass is a little bit more active. I could just put learning by ear in the title. Or learning the song name by ear in all caps. da da do 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 do. Do da 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 The bass pattern's a little more active though. There's a little bit more happening rhythmically in the bass down there. Do do da do 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 do. Do 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 da da do da da da. Because the bass is like do da do da 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 da. Lend you my ears? What? Do you know if what are the freaking names? The guitar players in Radiohead. Why can't I think of their names all of a sudden? Do you know if they play with like hybrid picking? Because that's almost what it sounds like to me. It sounds like pick and fingers. Because the bass notes sound a little bit too divine to be just thumb. Yep, Ed O'Brien and Johnny Greenwood. Man, I should have remembered that just because of the Telly Plus connection. Can in fact even like leave that C sharp there. Ba, 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 ba. Trying to drift sharp. You could also take that C sharp and play it here, which would give us maybe a slightly easy fingering. All right, it sounds like when it gets into the verse, it strips it down a little bit. Alright, so this little bridge section's a little different. Kind of switching very, very quickly between D and B minor. That's our bass. Ba-da-bum. What's it? Oh, we tend to, when people request stuff, we tend to do the whole thing. Even pretty ridiculous stuff. And I tend to have a tendency to kind of composite the parts. So if it has, you know, two guitars or guitar and piano or, you know, whatever else, I tend to start kind of incorporating them all, trying to figure out how to work all the little parts together into one that sounds, you know, sounds good with just guitar. But sometimes it also winds up making completely ludicrous arrangements and pieces of music. So that part is G, F sharp minor, E minor. Alright, so you get a bunch of layers in here. start putting the two guitar parts together. Boom, 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 that higher guitar is playing that. Then the lower guitar. Interesting. It's not exactly, it's not true contrary motion, but it's kind of. The lower one's moving strictly upwards. While the other one. Interesting. There's yet another guitar in the middle that's sort of playing a similar pattern, kind of more in the mid-range area too. So the second time it's alternating. It's actually dropping down to a little blues scale, like. Neat little variation on a theme. This is actually still pretty much just the B minor with that little abrupt change to a D. Up to an A. So then that's like A, F sharp minor. Is it A, F sharp minor, D? Then back to D, B minor. And that's back to G, F sharp minor, E minor. So I think probably the most interesting thing in this change is how briefly it lingers and how sort of unexpectedly it sort of changes to the relative major, to the D, and then back to the B minor. Because your brain thinks when it hears that move up to the D that it's going to stay on it. You know, we're going to hear that relative major for a while. But I mean, it's so sort of brief and so sort of lurching in terms of how it changes into it and back to the B minor. That it throws your brain for a little bit of a loop. So it sounds like we got moving octaves. This could also be being played on a 12 string. We're just kind of moving up this sort of B minor scale type sound here. And that's over the G down to E minor chord progression. So we start off over the B. All the while, one guitar is just playing this octave pattern, or like I said, playing it on a 12, in which case you can play it on one string. Yeah, so the bass chords underneath are going do, 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 do. Yeah, so it's basically it's almost like it's the effect that we have in our intro. So we're on top of B. Then the high note's going to go up a whole step, but the bass note is going to go down a half step. Ba-da-dum. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, so it's basically playing the bass notes from our intro. The sort of bass progression from our intro underneath this little ascending, kind of droning lead line. So we're on top of B. Right? Then we're on top of A sharp. Then we're on top of D. Then we're on top of G. Then it sounds like G, F sharp, G, F sharp. Yep. So our bass just goes G, F sharp, G, F sharp, so B. A sharp, D. Then when this goes up a half step over top of G, F sharp, G, F sharp. I wouldn't recommend this fingering. Then back into B minor. So our bass. So we're just sounds like we're just repeating this now. D. And if you just want like the chord to strum sort of underneath that, we have our B minor. Right, and this is a first inversion of an F sharp chord. Right, so if you imagine like an F sharp bar chord like this, right, what I'm doing is I'm putting ba, the third, the A right here in the bass, which is at the first fret on the, or the A sharp, I mean, first fret on the A string. So you have 1, 4, 3, 2. Right, then our D, major 7, then our G major 7. While up here we still have just staying on the B minor. We have our we just vamp out on the B minor. So yeah, underneath that little lead line at the end, it's essentially the same chord progression as the intro. Not quite as busy, but we still have that basic outline going. To end on the Picardy third. Ba-da-dum, doo-da-doo. But yeah, really cool. That oddly enough, this is the same as like the first two chords of the verse of Interstate Love Song. Ba-da-dum. You hear that really dramatic ba, ba, where we have that half step voice leading down in the bass. Ba, but then it goes to a little bit different kind of thing. The Interstate Love Song goes to the third inversion of the one chord as a 7, as a secondary dominant, while this one just goes straight to the relative major. Ba, ba. Pretty cool. Always think of Radiohead too with those little sort of dynamic little arpeggio type patterns. It makes it very moody. Yeah, so like an Interstate Love Song. But then the next chord, a lot more dense. C-sharp 7 with a B in the bass. Then a B flat minor 7 flat 5, which is actually really just a first inversion of an F sharp 9. It's basically our 2 chord. So whenever you're trying to figure out anything that has dense chords like that, try to isolate single voices and try to find, the voice leading, how an individual voice connects to its next step. So you figure out the first one and go, okay, and then it goes, and then you listen for the bass voice and listen for the bass voice to go, then you put the 2 voices together. And you go, okay, we're getting there. Then you figure out the internal voices. And you can hear, for the most part, if it's a regular major or minor chord, something like that, it's pretty straightforward. Like, you don't hear anything super sour inside of there. Well, in this case, we're out of the D. You hear that major 7 effect, that sort of lushness, going down to that major 6. Right, and then you hear that second effect, da, da. You hear the bass move up to a G. Ba, ba. And you start kind of breaking it down just piece by piece, one voice to the next voice. And then you put the 2 voices together, and you put the 3 voices together, however dense it gets. And you start listening and trying to figure out the tunings that they're in too. You start listening like, okay, well, wait a minute. I hear the twang of an open string on this particular note or this particular pitch. So that means, okay, maybe I need to tune my E string down, or maybe I need a capo somewhere. Or I hear this really low bass note, this boom, that's clearly deeper than my low E string, so I need to tune this string down. In their case, because they have, so many layers of stuff too, that can get really, really, really tricky. Because there's no guarantee that, every guitar in every layer is in the same tuning anyway. But you can usually get sort of a basic composite going. You can get the basic gestalt. All right, well, that wraps that up. Does anybody have any questions about anything, any particular thing they want to talk about? We can go for probably about another 10 minutes or so. Once we get to midnight on Monday, we kind of start wrapping it up. But I'll be happy to answer questions, chat about music, gear, whatever. Music theory. Doodle-doo. probably almost time to start doing some Christmas tunes too. Some really fun things we can do with them. I mean, it is definitely overpriced, man. It should be like $700, $750 tops, really. So the problem is if you wind up paying, what he's asking for it, then basically every Spectrum from here on afterwards will be $1,000. Unless you just get lucky and find, some chump who doesn't know what it is. I mean, you can always take kind of the Joni Mitchell approach and just start tuning things and see what you get. With a standard gauge set of strings, though, you're only going to have kind of so much range, so many tones you can access that are really going to work. Unless you don't mind being really out like Jandek or somebody like that. You can always do crazy like prepared guitar stuff too. Doing John Cage or Charles Ives type things with a guitar. Tuning to specific frequencies as opposed to specific notes. 600 ship for the green one is pretty good. Pretty darn good. I sold my blue one I think for $500, but it was to one of my students, so I cut him a little bit of a break. I think it was $500. If mine, you're lucky. It looks like both of yours have just like the regular Floyd Rose on it. The reason I sold mine was because the Floyd it had was the variant which had barrel fine tuners that stick out of the back of the bridge, and I couldn't turn the things. Like my fingers are too long and spindly, and my joints are too flexible to actually use them. And so every time I would go to play the thing and tune it, I would just get mad at it because it hurt my freaking fingers. And at that time, I didn't want to sink, a couple $100 into upgrading the Floyd because they weren't worth quite as much as they are now. Mine was the same, the royal blue color or candy blue with a maple fingerboard. One of my favorite things to do with alternate tunings though is to put new strings on a guitar and just kind of tune it up to wherever it is and let the strings settle for a minute, and they'll kind of wind up at random pitches, and then just try to figure out what you can play with the strings at those random pitches. I think the one on mine was made by Schaller as well. Most of theirs were, but they had two different models. There was like the JT 590 and then the JT6. And one has regular fine tuners, the other has the fine tuners around the saddle screws as a sort of barrel that protrudes from the back, and it makes the top of the bridge more low profile. But for me, it was basically impossible to tune without hurting my fingers. But if you think about with open tunings, the majority of open tunings are tuning specifically to chords, major or minor chords. A couple like Dadgad is tuning to a suspended chord, but I mean you can cook up any variation, any tuning variation you want, and see what happens with it. I think I mentioned one of my favorite things to do to troll people at the music stores that I've worked at, especially the employees who are responsible for tuning guitars, is taking the 12 strings and then tuning them essentially like chromatically, tuning the strings in half steps. So, we have like an E flat for the low E string, and then an E for the octave string, and so on and so forth, all the way down. You can make some really, really, really wild sounds that way. And you can also annoy the crap out of the tuning boy. It's a win-win. It depends on how much he wants to sell it, Some guys just have this thing in their head that my guitar is the best one of all time. You should pay the most for it. Other people just, want to start high, and then if someone throws an offer at them, they can consider it. I can't believe he didn't accept an offer of $900 though. I mean, seriously. That's already over the odds. Especially factoring in extremely expensive shipping. Are you a member of any of like the Charvel groups? Because there are a couple on Facebook, and they kind of pass guitars around pretty regularly. You could post a wanted to buy ad or something. Gear page, that's not really like the place for that. The Jackson Charvel forum used to be the ideal spot, but the last couple years it's just died. I don't know why, but completely dried up. I guess because everybody moved on to Facebook. Could be. It could also be. Whatchamacallit, Billy Joel. So you have I met a man, Bojangles, and he danced with me. But you also have, and he's talking to Davy, who's still in the Navy, and probably will be for life. Like really, really, really similar. really, really similar type of progression. Slightly different melody being thrown on top of it. But we have that ba 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 ba. Yes, objectively the best Billy Joel song. I actually don't know the melody after the Uptown Girl, but it's kind of it's sort of a rhythm changes type thing. I got rhythm, I got music, I got my gal could ask for anything more. I got daisies in green pasture, I got my gal could ask for anything more. Oh, ba-da-bum. Yeah. Still not completely comfortable with the idea of singing on stream. Not there yet. It's weird playing on nylon though. Playing with pick style, pick bebop on nylon. God, the string is like slightly delayed from where you think it's going to be. Come on. Yeah, fire away. Yeah, I actually pretty much watched the whole series a couple months ago. Wasn't quite what I expected from the little preview bits when it came out, years back. But it also became, as it went on, it became a little bit of a chore to watch in places just because it's so grim. What's up, Graham? Yeah, it's got some cool music throughout it. You know, I've gotten to where though, like movies, films in particular, with like no no redeeming characters or characters with no redeeming qualities whatsoever become at a almost a psychological grind. And that's kind of how I felt towards, you know, the sort of middle and end of that show. There were still really inventive things, though. You know, they did some wonderful stuff with some of the more conceptual episodes, and, and some of the dives kind of into the lore, the backstories of some of the more auxiliary characters. It was really interesting. Alright, well, we've broken 3 hours and it's after midnight, so probably better wrap it up. This guitar is so fun though, it's so kind of inspiring, there's little improvisations and things. Just wish the neck were a little bit wider, it's a little too congested. But it was kind of intended, I guess, to be more of a hybrid for people who are used to playing steel string and stuff. But just a little too cramped for the left hand for the more classically type things. But we better wrap it up for the evening. So thank you guys, Smurf Code, Grim, and No Facade, and Ride, and everybody that hung out tonight. Thank you all for stopping in and chatting and asking questions and making requests, all that kind of stuff. That really helps sort of keep the stream alive and keep things going, so it's not just me sitting here, aimlessly noodling for hours and hours and hours, which is what I'd be doing otherwise, most certainly. If you haven't hit the follow button, hit the follow button. That helps me out quite a bit. If you're not in the Discord, get in the Discord. We have a great little kind of music and guitar community going in the Discord. Lots of fun throughout the week. Yeah, no problem, Grim. Always happy to oblige. I'll be back Wednesday night. I don't know what we're due for Wednesday. Are we due for... We did Weeb Wednesday last week, so this Wednesday we could play with pedals and effects and create stuff with pedals, or we could do another workout Wednesday where we do technical exercises and I can make charts for you for different types of techniques and stuff. Those charts are available, by the way, in the Discord, in the chart section, as well as charts for any songs that we write out, like when we do Friday night jazz streams, that type of thing, or Music Theory Monday streams, which will be 2 Mondays from now for the next one. But I'll be back Wednesday at 9 p.m. 9-ish. I'm usually a few minutes late because I'm usually making tea and it takes longer than I expect. But sometime between 9 and 9:10 as a rule. But thanks everybody for hanging out, sticking with me. And I will see y'all Wednesday, to be technical. Oh wait, check out the YouTube too. Got that YouTube. Go look at the YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube. Watch videos on YouTube. Down in the description.